Welcome back, y'all, to FBA Gatekeeping Weekly, where we call out all the selective outrage, all the double standards, and all the diaspora politics nobody else wants to touch. So let's get into it. So Pan-African unity is apparently making a comeback, y'all. For those who don't know yet, Ghana and South Africa has recently linked arms to kick the Nigerians out. You heard that right. They threw a Pan-African unity rally, minus the unity plus the deportation flyers. This is gatekeeping in its most literal sense. I mean, just when you thought, Pan-Africanism meant open arms.
It's what they have done. Ladies and gentlemen, they have given up on the fight to fix their own country and resorted to looking for what they couldn't achieve or cannot achieve in their own country, in other people's countries. And ladies and gentlemen, this shouldn't have been a problem, because every other African country actually does it. Except that they are looking for this success by any means necessary and in the shortest possible time. They are of the view that people outside of their country are not as driven and aggressive towards becoming successful as they are. Many of them are therefore driven into all sorts of illegal enterprises anywhere they settle. Your people are running from your country as though the entire country is at war. Both men and women, young and old, to every other country. Therefore, the fight other countries have to put in to attain the peace you see and desire is what you have denied and declined. Instead of trying to make yourselves relevant in other countries, instead of trying to insert yourselves into the social fabric of other countries by all means necessary, how about this? How about you go back home and build your country?
So much for Wakanda forever. Looks like the South African Border Patrol got there first, and they don't look happy. And no, this wasn't just a couple keyboard warriors hiding behind anime avatars. This was boots on the ground, organized and police approved. In Ghana, protesters were marching, yelling, and holding up placards accusing Nigerians of crime, land theft, and cultural disruption. This is the kind of rhetoric you expect to see in the Daily Mail about immigrants in Europe, not on the continent of Africa, let alone Ghana. Ghana has always had a public perception of being very receptive to the diaspora. But South Africa's xenophobia has always been some underground rumor. It's basically Throwback Thursday, because anti-Nigerian hostility is nothing new there.
Let's be clear. South Africans are not xenophobic, honestly. They are waking up to the rot that hides behind the word Pan-Africanism. They are waking up to the corruption that is taking place within their country. Right? I'm all about unity and Pan-Africanism, right? But Pan-Africanism is about trading among yourselves, among Africans. It's not about burdening each other with problems, right? Pan-Africanism was never about allowing the worst failures of other governments to flood another country. In this case, it's South Africa. This word or this ideology has been hijacked by corrupt leaders, global NGOs like the UN, and South African elites who don't live where you live or suffer like you suffer or bear the brunt of the atrocities that are being committed by illegal immigrants. Many illegal immigrants are not refugees, guys. They're economic opportunists. Let's repeat that. They're economic opportunists.
Every couple years, there's another flare-up. People die, businesses burn, and yet the Pan-African unity crowd that always up in our faces suddenly goes mute when it's Africans turning on Africans. So let's quickly go through the greatest hits of South African Pan-African unity, shall we? First, we have the 2008 riots. They didn't just throw insults and boycott hair braiding shops. No, they burned down homes and businesses, unalived 62 people, and displaced over 100,000 immigrants. Of all the immigrant groups South Africans were beefing with, Nigerians were among the top targets. This wasn't a scuffle. This was an ethnic cleansing dress rehearsal. Then we had the 2015 attacks. Different year, same hate. Immigrants, especially Nigerians, were beaten and their stores looted. The excuse was, they're taking our jobs. You know, the classic scapegoat line. 2019, Johannesburg riots, looting, arson, and 12 unalived. Nigerians were evacuating like it was a war zone. It got so bad, Nigeria had to recall their high commissioner and shut down South African consulates. Then we have Operation Dadula, a vigilant movement whose main hobby is raiding migrant-owned shops and telling foreigners to go home. They even turned it into a political party. So imagine if FBAs did this. The UN would call an emergency meeting, okay? Lastly, 2024 Miss South Africa scandal. Contestant Shedeur Sanders of Nigerian heritage got bullied so hard with online xenophobia that she withdrew. She later won Miss Universe Nigeria, so maybe she should have stayed in Nigeria after all, but hey.
Literally, that's all Nigerians care about. Flexing on their neighbor, showing off of their neighbor. That's why they'll buy a Mercedes in Nigeria, even though the roads are fucked up, knowing that a Mercedes isn't what you need. The maintenance, you can't afford it. But they'll buy the Mercedes to show the world that I can afford a Mercedes. They can't afford maintenance. They scam to buy LV and pay for IG business. Literally, the people in my country only want to get rich so they can continue slavery, modern day slavery. They get rich to insult people, to bully people who are beneath them, to make themselves feel better about their shitty upbringing, their shitty lives. And they don't actually care about a better Nigeria. That's why we live in shit. That's why the world that we live in is shit in Nigeria. They don't ever scam to get money to get roads built, donate to the orphanage, donate to the schools, put in medical systems. They don't care about any of that. That's why I love bleeding them. I take the money and do what they're supposed to do. They literally do not aim to get rich for financial freedom. They aim to get rich for flexibility. Literally.
I said all of this to just ask, where are the people saying Pan-Africanism or perish? Where are the diaspora influencers now? Where's the viral We Are One People hashtag? Where's the roundtable live chat rooms about healing divisions in the diaspora? Oh, right. Unity only matters when FBAs are the ones drawing the lines in the sand. When Ghana choose to prioritize its people and say Nigerians must go, it's called nationalism. But when we choose to prioritize an FBA agenda and say lineage matters, it's called hate. Let's be real. This is why the double standard is beyond absurd. Ghana can gatekeep, South Africa can gatekeep. They can make entire political platforms out of keeping certain groups of black people out, and somehow is understood as protecting their borders. But when FBAs talk about a lineage-based identity rooted in our specific history, slavery in the US, Jim Crow, civil rights, and suddenly is the worst thing since apartheid. Make it make sense. Because if this is what Pan-African unity looks like on the continent, then maybe we need to stop letting folks gaslight us into thinking delineation is divisive. The truth is, delineation is normal everywhere. Well, I guess except when FBAs do it. So this week, BET decided to reimagine its award shows, which is corporate speak for we're folding and hoping you don't notice. The Hip Hop Awards, suspended. Soul Train Awards, ghosted. And Fat Joe quietly stepped down like he left the stove on.
This just in, the BET Awards, the BET Hip Hop Awards, and the Soul Train Awards have been suspended indefinitely. BET CEO Scott Mills explained that these shows aren't necessarily being eliminated, but rather reimagined for today's new media landscape. Luckily, we'll still have the NAACP Image Awards and the Stellar Awards airing on BET. Not gonna lie, I'm shocked that the BET Awards were canceled because this year's awards were so amazing. Kevin Hart hosted, he had everybody dressed black tie. It was really one for the books, but I guess it wasn't enough. However, I'm not really surprised about the Hip Hop Awards because it was hosted at a nightclub in Las Vegas and like they didn't even promote it. The BET Awards began in 2001 and man, there's so many fond memories between Monique and the Baby Boy skit they did and Michael Jackson, James Brown on the stage. Man, it's sad that that's gonna go and look a lot different. I'm excited to see what reimagining the awards will look like, though.
So let's start with this. BET, once the cultural embassy for Black America, now just another casualty of cable TV's slow death spiral. Ratings for the BET Awards dropped nearly 50% this year. The Soul Train Award didn't even show up for work. And the Hip Hop Awards, well, they've been struggling to get their biggest star to show up since 2006. BET says it's the cable collapse, but let's be real, it's also the cultural collapse. You can't keep promoting ratchet aesthetics, ignoring lineage, and calling it representation. Eventually, the audience clocks out.
We losing money. We don't got the money. We don't have the money to pay him. But then they did that shit where now, to Ice's point, they start putting these new niggas on the internet. They start splitting it up. Hey, we're going to have some of y'all on TV, and we're going to have some of y'all on YouTube. That let you know that this wasn't going well. Fat Joe hosting the last 9 years in a row let you know that this wasn't. There was signs all over the place that this wasn't going well. I don't know about them saying we're taking this off BT linear. So where you putting this? That says to me that if it come back, you putting this on app.
Yep. Yeah.
So you don't trust us for television because you can't make money off it, but you trust us for the app where you make money off.
Oh yeah, and Fat Joe. He called FBA's broke black racist and got dragged so hard he stepped down from hosting the Hip Hop Awards. No press release, no apology, just a quiet exit stage left.
Let's start by this. These rumors were made by radical black racists. Let's just say that. Okay? It's a group of these guys that don't want to hear Jamaican, don't want to hear Guyanese, they don't want to hear a black guy that ain't down with them. Right? So their job is to criticize anybody who don't look like them or who ain't black American.
Who are these guys?
You want me to say a name? We're going to give them too much clout.
I mean,
the FBA, Foundational Black Authority, whoever the these broke niggas is. I'm just keeping it a buck. And their shit is to attack everybody on Twitter. You see this nigga who run them? Like, you know, your leader? Yo, man, you got to be kidding me, man. And so they trying to change the narrative. They're not from New York.
Right.
So they telling a whole nother.
And let's be clear, this wasn't just clapback culture. It was cultural correction. You don't get to profit off black American art and then disrespect the people who built it. FBA's been labeled divisive for drawing lineage lines. But look around, BET's folding, Fat Joe's fleeing, and the culture is demanding accountability. That's not fringe energy, that's influence. We're not just tweeting, we're shifting narratives. We're forcing institutions to reckon with the difference between representation and extraction. BET folded, Fat Joe fled, like I said, and FBAs are still here, building, defining, and refusing to be erased. This isn't just a media switch, it's a reckoning, and we're not asking for permission anymore. So let's just shift to Shedeur Sanders because he made his NFL debut this week. And let's just say he didn't wait for permission to look like he belonged. 2 touchdowns, no turnovers, and a whole lot of silence from the same analysts who swore he was a 5th-round project. But this wasn't just a good game. It was a quiet reminder of what happens when Black American support shows up and stays consistent.
Tonight, Shedeur Sanders made the entire National Football League look like a whole bunch of petty fools, in some cases racist fools, in many cases Dion despising fools. Tonight at Carolina, Shedeur Sanders made all those teams that had 143 chances to draft him before he went 144th. He shamed all of them, including the Cleveland Browns, who finally took him in the 5th round. I'm convinced only because the owner, the publicity-starved owner, just wanted some more shock value publicity. Oh, we took him because he knew what would happen, that the national media would descend on Browns camp, make it a story that might distract the rest of the world from the mess that Jimmy Haslam has made of the Cleveland Browns, especially after he gave $230 million to Deshaun Watson.
So let's keep it real. Shedeur wasn't even supposed to start. He was buried on Cleveland's depth chart behind Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and Dylan Gabriel. But injuries hit, and suddenly the 4th stringer was under the lights. He went 14 of 23, threw 2 touchdowns, and looked like someone who's been here before, because he has. Jackson State, Colorado, now Cleveland. Different uniforms, same poise. This is the same Shedeur Sanders, by the way, who won the Jerry Rice Award at Jackson State, lit up the SWAC, and then got clowned for transferring to Colorado. The same one who slid to the 5th round in the draft while less accomplished quarterbacks got early calls.
I be hoping you got something positive to say about me. You only say negative stuff about me. And I'm like, I ain't do nothing to you. No. I ain't see nothing positive that you ever say. I do some positive every day. What up, Tony? Come on, Tony. What I do to you, Tony?
But through all of that, one thing stayed consistent: the support. FBA's folks didn't flinch. We saw the talent, we saw the discipline, we saw the humble attitude they kept saying wasn't there, and we kept showing up. But this isn't just about football. It's about what happens when Black American excellence is backed up by Black American society. Not corporate hype, not media spin, just real support from people who knows what it means to be undervalued and still over-deliver.
So why do you think he got drafted in the 5th round when we know he was at least second to third best quarterback in the draft?
His daddy. And that's it. He got a black daddy. If his daddy was white, if his daddy last name was Manning, he'd have got picked where he's supposed to get picked. What did they say? They got to humble that boy. Why black men got to be humble? What they tell us, just work hard and keep your head down. Work hard and keep your head down. Now, why we can't stand up straight with our head up and our shoulders back? Everybody else get to be strong but us? We got to run around in dresses like Tyler Perry to get noticed? Nah. As black men, they wanted to humble him. But when he scored last night, what'd he do? He threw that watch up. You can't humble it. You can't take out of him what's in him. So he should have been taken number 1, 2, or 3. But you know what? Hey, it's a test. And from that test, he's going to have a testimony. And all that boy got to do is just play like he played last night. And he going to get his bread. And he going to go as far, as God want him to go.
Shedeur didn't need ESPN to validate him. He needed reps. And when he got them, he made it count. So while the analyst scrambles to rewrite their scouting reports, let's not forget, this is what happens when you bet on lineage, when you protect your own, when you don't let white society define the ceiling for Black talent. Shedeur's debut wasn't just a win for him. It was a win for every FBA kid who's told to wait their turn while somebody else gets the spotlight. So Shedeur Sanders didn't just play well. He proved that Black American support isn't just emotional. It's strategic, it's protective, and it's powerful. So whether it's Ghana telling Nigerians to leave, BET crumbling under his own irrelevance, or Shedeur Sanders flipping the humble him narrative into a victory lap, the message is the same. Gatekeeping works, cultural pride works, and when we stand on our square, we win. So this has been the Culture Debrief. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I talk about Black news all the time, so just stick around and support.